Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Rossiter's Ringside Report. I'm Mark Chang, wishing everybody a happy holiday season. Joining me is the head coach of the boxing program at the Annandale Boys and Girls Club, Leo Rossiter. And Leo, I think you have some announcements on local events coming up.
Right. Well, it's Golden Glove season. It kicks off next month in January. The Maryland, D.C. Golden Gloves, that their registration starts January 10th. I believe it's 10th and 17th, the 2 weekends that they register. Then every Saturday after that for approximately the next 8 Saturdays, they'll have fights. To determine who, the tournament fights to determine who will be the 2026 Golden Glove champions in each weight class. Then after that comes the Maryland, North Carolina. That's usually done on a weekend, and I believe that's going to be toward the end of March this year. And then after that comes the regionals. So for the probably next 4 months, the local areas going to be inundated with Golden Glove activity.
Yeah, big time of year for the young men and women competing in that very prestigious tournament. And speaking of prestigious fights, last night, or say early this morning from Saudi Arabia, we had incredible fight card. It usually is, and it was the monster in the main event versus David Picasso. Uh, very good fighter. Went the distance, and I see that the monster, as good as he is, has some holes. First of all, he always gets hit with the right hand. And a couple of these guys drop him with the right hand. Granted, he's very resilient. He comes back. But Picasso is landing his right hand. He just doesn't have that kind of world-class power. He's also got the weakness of defending the hook too often by pulling away from it. And Picasso hit him a few times with the left hook, and a harder puncher could very well put him down with that. So the defense is basically his timing of pulling back being better than the thrower's timing of landing it, which I've never liked. I've personally always liked to actually have the hand up, but again, that's personal preference. Um, the other thing is, the monster doesn't show that kind of power at this weight class. I think he's really a bantamweight, and he's got great endurance. He's got obviously excellent skills, but I think he needs to drop down. I think he needs to drop down to get that super fight, all Japanese war tournament, make it the biggest gate in Japan, versus the guy who won the bout, Aubrey, a close match in the co-feature, which was Junto Nakatani. Uh, Nakatani, I think he's big, but he doesn't have a long reach. And also, I think he doesn't have the skill level of the monster. And obviously, I say this as a person that is nowhere near the skill level of the Nakatani as well. But I think that's the good fight for the monster to take because it's a huge fight. I think he wins it by decision because this guy is tough and it's going to make him look great. But I think at 32 years old, he's starting to show a little bit of signs of slowing down already. Let's talk about the other big fight. That was Joshua versus Paul.
Yeah, well, it was, I don't think, any surprise that Anthony Joshua won, and he won big. I think he maybe carried him a couple rounds he didn't have to for entertainment value, but he busted up Jake Paul pretty bad. But then the government busted up Anthony Joshua. Out of that $92 million that they reportedly were paid for the fight, the United States government stepped in and took 37% in taxes. Then, being a citizen of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, he had to pay another, I think it was $7.6 million in taxes to the British government. Then he had to pay another 1.6 or 1.8. I'm not, what's a couple $100,000 to the British government for their healthcare system because they have socialized medicine there. You're not supposed to have to pay for any of the medical care, but they dig money up somewhere to pay for it, and it looks like that's one of the avenues they use is by um, robbing these guys for those big paychecks. Now, I I've worked with a lot of fighters, and a lot of these guys think that when they go out there and fight and they make two, five, $10,000, that's their money. That they fought for it, they're entitled to it, they put it in their pocket, and they blow it any way they want. Uh, However, the government has to be paid on everything, and I try to instruct people, to get with somebody that does taxes and make sure you pay the government, so you don't have to uh, run into any penalties later. And you take Roberto Duran is a good example. He had to fight well past his retirement age to make up for tax money that he didn't pay when he was fighting, making those big paydays. So um, I, I don't remember any other big names off my top of my head right now. I know that there's several that have had to keep on fighting. Uh, I don't want to mention any names because I'm not quite sure, but I know a lot of. It's not just Roberto Duran who didn't pay the taxes and had to fight on. There was a lot of guys, and these guys have got to realize that when they go out there and fight, that it's not your money. It's just like your house. You pay off the bank, it's not your house because you have to rent it your whole life from the government. Um, so there's that kind of knocked me for a loop when I saw how much money they were going to get from Anthony Joshua. Now that's provided that he gets the whole 92 million. Um, I don't know. Sometimes they say these purses are big like that, but it ends up being, a quarter of that. It might be 3 or 4 million rather than 92. I don't know what how much depended on how much of that was, what do you call speculation on ticket sales, pay per view, or whatever, um, whatever the different, outlets were. So, but whatever it is, he's not going to get much of it because he's got two governments dipping in there. So, uh, what's your thought on that? The guys having to pay such an extravagant amount for taxes.
Well, I mean, it's good to bring that up because people don't really think about that very often. But that's with any sort of high profile event like that, regardless of the sport, you have to take that into account. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. Kudos to you for advising the fighters on budgeting that in before they go, like you said, blow out all your money. But with that said, any other closing thoughts?
Well, one thing is before if you're fighting pro, before you go on a card, find out what the tax requirements are in that state. And we might all want to just go down Florida and fight because they don't have state income tax. My uh, so my thoughts is let's everyone have a healthy, happy New Year, and let's see what comes out of these Golden Gloves. What kind of new stars we're going to be promoting next year.
I know. Every year is exciting. Well, thank you all for watching and stay safe out there.